You got the raise? You finally got it. The number you had been waiting for, maybe for years. And for a few days, maybe a week, everything felt different, lighter, like a problem you had been carrying around in your chest had finally been set down. Then the feeling left. And now you are sitting in the same apartment, driving the same route, eating the same lunches, and the raise is just your salary now. The number that used to feel like a finish line is just the starting point for a whole new set of things you want. The relief you expected never quite arrived, and you are not sure why. Why does more money never feel like enough? The answer is not that you are greedy. It is not that you are ungrateful or bad with money or missing some discipline gene that other people have. It is something much deeper, a flaw built into the way your brain processes achievement itself. And once you understand it, you will never look at your financial goals the same way again. There is a term for what you just experienced. Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar called it the Arrival Fallacy. The belief, the deeply felt, completely convincing belief, that once you arrive at a certain destination, once you hit a certain number, reach a certain milestone, you will finally feel the way you have always wanted to feel. Secure, content, enough. The fallacy is not the goal. The fallacy is the belief that arriving will fix something. Think about every major financial milestone you have ever hit. Your first real job, your first salary increase, the day you paid off a credit card, the day you finally saved $1,000 or $10,000 or whatever number once felt impossibly far away. Each of those moments had the same arc. You anticipated it for a long time. You worked toward it. You imagined what it would feel like. And then you got there. And then, almost immediately, the feeling faded, and a new number appeared on the horizon to replace it. You did not conjure that new number out of nowhere. It was already waiting, because your brain does not actually want you to arrive. It wants you to keep moving. This is not a personal failure. This is your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. Your brain is not designed to feel satisfied. It is designed to survive. And the survival mechanism does not reward you for reaching goals. It rewards you for chasing them. The anticipation of something better is what kept your ancestors alive and moving. The moment of arrival was never supposed to last. Because if it lasted, you would stop. You would stop hunting, stop building, stop solving. You would sit down and feel content in a world that required constant vigilance. Satisfaction was always meant to be brief. The problem is that your ancient brain is now running inside a modern economy, an economy that has studied that wiring with extraordinary precision and figured out exactly how to use it against you. Every product you buy, every upgrade you consider, every financial goal you set is quietly framed as an arrival point. Get this car and you will feel stable. Hit this salary and you will feel respected. Buy this house and you will feel like you have finally made it. Move into the bigger apartment and you will feel like the version of yourself you have been trying to become. The entire system is built on the premise that the next thing will finally be the thing that does it. And your brain believes it. Every single time. Not because you are naive, because the feeling is real. The feeling of anticipation is neurologically real. The excitement before a purchase, the motivation before a raise, the hope before a milestone, those are genuine chemical events in your brain. Dopamine does not release when you get the reward. It releases when you expect it. The pursuit is the event. The arrival is the silence after the event ends. This is why people who receive sudden financial windfalls, lottery winners, inheritance recipients, people whose businesses unexpectedly succeed, so often describe returning to roughly the same emotional baseline within a year or two. Not because money does not matter, it does. Financial security is real and it matters. But the feeling you expected the money to produce turns out to be a feeling the money cannot actually sustain. Because the brain recalibrates, the new baseline becomes normal. And from the new normal, the next set of wants looks exactly like the old set, just with bigger numbers attached. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Your emotional response to your circumstances adapts over time until the extraordinary becomes ordinary. A bigger paycheck becomes just your paycheck. A nicer apartment becomes just where you live. The neighborhood you once dreamed of living in becomes the place where you notice the things that need fixing. The thing you wanted becomes the thing you have, and the thing you have gradually stops producing the feeling you wanted it to produce. So you look for the next thing, and the cycle restarts. Here is where this stops being just an emotional problem and becomes a financial one. The arrival fallacy is the engine behind what economists call lifestyle inflation. As your income rises, your expenses rise with it. Not because your actual needs have grown, but because your brain is always searching for the next arrival point, the next version of the feeling that the last milestone briefly delivered. So, the raise does not go into savings. It does not go toward investments or debt payoff or building any kind of buffer. It gets absorbed into a higher baseline of spending that almost immediately feels completely normal. The subscription you would not have considered 2 years ago now feels standard. The restaurant tier you would have called a splurge is now just where you eat. The apartment upgrade you told yourself would finally feel like enough is now just your apartment. And from this new baseline, the savings goal that once felt within reach now feels just as far away as it always did. This is how people earn twice what they earned 5 years ago and still feel like they are just getting by. It is not bad luck. It is not bad math. It is the arrival fallacy operating in the background of every financial decision, always moving the finish line just far enough ahead to keep you running toward it. And the most disorienting part is that it feels rational. Each individual upgrade seems reasonable. Each expense makes sense in isolation. The fallacy is invisible because the brain never announces it. It just quietly sets a new baseline, restarts the wanting, and points you toward the next thing that will finally be enough. So what do you actually do with this? The first shift is to stop treating financial goals as arrival points and start treating them as checkpoints. A checkpoint is something you pass through. You acknowledge it, you register the progress it represents, and then you continue from it, without expecting it to change how you fundamentally feel about your life. When you hit a savings milestone, you mark it. You sit with it briefly, and you move. You do not wait for the milestone to deliver a feeling it was never designed to deliver. The second shift is to separate the financial goal from the emotional story you have attached to it. Saving 6 months of expenses is a real and valuable goal. It creates real security. But the story running alongside it, the one that says, once you reach it, you will finally feel stable, finally feel like an adult, finally feel like enough. That story is the fallacy. The stability you are looking for is not inside the number. The number creates the conditions. The feeling is something you either practice now or you never quite find it at all. The third shift is the hardest one, and it is the one that actually changes behavior. Start noticing the feeling of anticipation itself, the excitement before you buy something, the motivation you feel building toward a financial milestone, the relief you imagine arriving on the other side of a goal. That feeling is real, but it belongs to the pursuit, not the destination. The purchase will not deliver it. The milestone will not sustain it. If you can learn to recognize that the feeling of wanting something and the feeling of needing something are two completely different states, you start to see your money decisions differently. You start to see that a lot of what you are buying is not the thing. It is the feeling of being about to have the thing. And that feeling, by definition, cannot survive the transaction. You got the raise. You felt it for a week, and your brain is already building a case for why the next one will finally be the one that changes everything. It will not be the one that changes everything. But understanding why is the beginning of actually building a financial life that does. If something in this video felt familiar, a milestone you hit that quietly disappointed you, a number you finally reached that moved the moment you arrived at it, drop it in the comments. Name the goal. What were you certain was going to change once you got there? Name it out loud, because the arrival fallacy only runs in silence. The moment you see it clearly, it starts to lose its grip. And if this is the kind of thing you want more of, the money stuff nobody else slows down to explain, subscribe. There is more where this came from.